Hey. Hello, family. We're down here with one of my favorite personalities. I don't know this guy personally, but my buddy Takad, my op Kilimanjaro is here, and so we're gonna spend a couple hours a day. We're actually here to work on our one of the books that we are going to co-author called The Art of Leadership. I got that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's it.
We thought about a lot of different names, but Art of Leadership is going to be the title. And it's you really can't get too scientific. I mean, you can get scientific with leadership itself per se, leaders.
Mm-hmm.
But our predicament in the community, the African community, is sometimes it's going to go beyond science. It's going to go beyond paper. You know, we always talk about building things and creating things, stuff like that. Leadership is a whole different animal.
Yes, sir.
What do you say about that?
Yeah, I think it's timely what we're attempting to do. Leadership is practiced. Obviously, so the art of leadership being an art practice, it has to be lived. And so, in meeting you some years ago, it became very clear because I watched people carefully.
Why are you watching me, man? Don't be watching me, bro.
Yeah, I watch whether they do what they say.
Yeah.
And you're one of the few people I've run into that your words match your actions.
Right.
And so leadership is words matching actions.
Right.
So that you're teaching people through action what needs to be done.
Right.
And so we're going to do this book together. We've been discussing it for about a year.
Right.
We've been working on our aspect of the research of it and putting together a structure for it. We started off with an art of leadership for elders. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
And then we started discussing, well, we need to be discussing it overall.
Right.
And so what you're going to do is open the show for the book.
Yeah.
You're going to take the first half of it, and I'll take the guiding principles part at the very end.
Okay.
And our task is to, have a working draft in place by October. And we'll put the publishing system in place and the printing system in place by November. And have it printed by December on the market for the holidays plus Black History Month in February.
Okay.
Yeah, so we look forward to it.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm looking forward to it, too. Everybody knows that my collaboration with Elder Olatunji Mwamba with the Raising Awareness, Past, Present, Future, that book is still available on Amazon and at Olatunji's book-selling website. And also his book about the LGBTQIA agenda. And now it seems to be capturing more traction now because everybody starting to see it now, becoming more evident. And the reason why it's becoming more evident because they're getting more dominant, they're getting more confident about what they're doing. It's becoming politically expedient for politicians and everybody else to grab onto it because that's where the pop cultural thing is nowadays. So you guys can look into those two publications, and also your University Kemet Library. Why don't you?
Yeah, we're bringing things to an end.
Okay.
My journey is 6 stages. Started at Howard University, in basically stacking books in the library.
Yeah.
And made a decision we needed a system of ideals in place.
Okay.
And I saw that other populations that had won in history, had an organic system of ideas that summarized numerous areas.
Right.
And then I went from that to taking notes in journals, organizing my notes. At a certain point, I began to type them, or at least have people help me type them into Word documents. And then later on, organize the contacts of folders and files to put us in a position to produce a 33-book system.
Right.
We're on 32. We just finished 32, which was a journal book.
Oh man, yeah.
Got that out of the way, and now we have 33, which is the Black Book. Which is just like the Green Book here in the United States, where you knew where to go and where not to go in the South, based on the Green Book.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to do the same thing with Africa. Where should people from diaspora move to in Africa, and where shouldn't they go? So we're going to have that in place. I got a trip in December to close,
Okay.
do the field work.
Okay.
But we've got 80% of that done. So
You're gonna hit that, what they call that what they call that union of countries that
the
come
Golden
together?
Triangle.
The Golden Triangle.
Yes,
We'll hit that area
yeah,
right there, right?
yeah. Four countries, no place else
Okay.
in the world where
All right.
that happens. That's Namibia, Zambia, Zimbabwe, and Botswana.
Okay.
So we're going to try to tie that together.
Okay. Well, I mean, like I say, it's not much of an introduction. Everybody knows who I am, M. Coimsey. You guys know Takai. I'm going to say what I've been doing first.
Yeah.
And you can go.
Yeah.
People have been, I've been quiet. I've been on Facebook, but I've been kind of quiet with my personal journey. And now I am officially and beneficially in South Carolina area. And it's one of the reasons why my friend Takai is here, because I'm closer to him now.
Yes.
So I'm in South Carolina, in the Columbia area. One of the major things, and I'm retired, by the way. Don't let me forget that part.
You see how relaxed he
Yeah,
is?
yeah,
He's
yeah,
retired.
man, everybody say, man, he ain't all strung out no more. He ain't cursing nobody out, man. He's all cool and calm.
Yeah.
That's the reason why, man. I'm retired now, and I put my time in. And I don't know if I could have done it any differently. I didn't come into consciousness, and whatever you want to call it, until much later in my life. So, I was on that European tract. Get a job, do your thing, get a family, have 2.5 dogs, 3.5 cats, 4.5 children, and the whole deal. And it wasn't until much later into my career, 20 plus years, that I finally see that this is not it. Capitalism, whatever, all those different things that we have to deal with on a daily basis. Those things aren't going away.
Yeah.
We still have to deal with them. We also have to deal with ourselves.
Yes.
In saying that, I have recently legally changed my name. I've been using MQ for a while. Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate it. I've been using MQ for a while. I'll say a good maybe 6 or 7 years. One of the main things I want to bring this to the community is that your name is your energy. Your name is your essence. Your name is who you are. Your name is what you project, and it's also what feeds you in a real benevolent way. I didn't have that with Paul Hill. I didn't have that, and for not letting out any personal information, my father, who's a senior, Paul Hill Senior, made me a junior, Paul Hill Jr. And I didn't find out until much later, until after he died, and after my older sister died. She died in May of 2013. That's right around the time when I started using MQ, by the way. Another family member told me about, actually 2 family members, one very close to me, another one, relatively close to me, said that my father had, subjected a couple of female, maybe even more than that, female people in our family to sexual molestation. Now, they didn't tell me because my father was an absentee dad, and as I got older, I wanted to develop a relationship with him, and that's what I did. The girls, not so much. They accepted what it was. And it's a shame that our females have to deal with that.
Yes.
In our families. Yes. It's been going on for generation by generation to generation.
Yes.
And I just don't know how we can handle that. How we can deal with that, except talk about it.
Yes.
And so it made it much more expedient and much more important for me to change my name legally.
Yes.
So of course, the COVID-19 pandemic hit, 2018, 2019, me retiring, the last 2 years of before I retired was really crazy.
Yes.
Pandemic issues, working with the government,
Yes.
Community health, all those things I had to deal with. It was very, very stressful. So the last thing on my mind was changing my name legally.
Yes.
But now that I have got past that part, got down here in South Carolina, relaxed, and now I'm starting to read my books, read my library. Yes. And writing on the book.
Yeah. Nice library they got there.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah. It's not, I hear people say all the time they got thousands of books. Well, I like to see those libraries personally. my little 400, 500 books is good enough for me.
I'm a quality man. I don't deal with
I like to see what's in that library.
That's right.
You know what
That's
I mean?
right. Well, you got something.
And I think every one of my books in there, at least in my opinion, quality
The
books.
quality
Yeah,
books.
yeah. So yeah, the name change has definitely lifted a psychological as well as a spiritual burden off of my shoulders.
Yes, sir.
And I suggest anybody, maybe you may not have my problem, you know, with a father who has some issues.
Yes.
And that's a burden on the child.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But now I can live up to, you know, very seriously live up to what my name means.
That's right.
And that is respected elder.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And I want to be able to be respected by
Yeah.
handling my issues as mature
Yes.
and as benevolent as I can.
Well, everybody knows you handle things straight on.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
And nobody would think from what we've done that you run from anything. I've noticed that.
Try not to.
Nobody
man.
would think
Try not to.
Yeah.
So that's what it's all about. And I talked about that in the past, present, future book with the Raising Awareness group with Olachunji.
Yes.
Elder Olachunji, was that your mental health means everything. And you have to work on your mental health. Obviously, people know my story with drug addiction, alcoholism, and all those things, and years and years of dealing with that, and then having to get a spiritual, a conscious identity, African spiritual conscious identity,
Yes.
and having to work on that. So with me starting late, I think I talked to you about that already.
you did.
With me starting late, that came on, and people, elders like yourself, Brother Olachunji, even the young fellows in the community, Khufu, Aku Menchihotep, Ivan Irby, who's now deceased. He's an ancestor now.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, he's directly responsible for my name.
Yes.
He gave it to me before he died.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Right. So I'm honored to have that name.
Yes.
That came from a person who thought that that's what I was.
Yeah,
An esteemed, respected elder.
that's right.
So that's pretty much it. So the mental health part, individually, the spiritual health part, individually, transferring over into the community. Then, of course, obviously, our community health and what we can do as a community to bring ourselves up out of these doldrums that we find ourselves in. I mean, I don't want to go too much further into it, but tell me what you've been doing with yourself.
Oh, wow.
And we know I know you've been heavy, but
Yeah, but I could say that I appreciate you telling that story, at least
Yeah.
giving that information, because not only do internal things determine what we do, external things influence us. And so your father's situation is external, but the internal drive, you already had that
Right.
to move forward. It was just accelerated by the
Right.
external. Having said that, I was getting ready to say staying away from work, but
Hey, let me tell you something, guys. He came down here and he wanted, take a break and relax. He's back there working. And just
Yeah,
what you
yeah.
doing, man? I'm writing, but that's
I can't put the books down. You see, I carry my journal. I carry my journals everywhere.
Yeah.
But again, we're trying to bring closures to some projects
Right.
and move on to another stage,
Right.
which is the University Kemet Online. And so my book writing will end.
Okay.
And I must tell you that closure is always difficult. It's always difficult because you begin to look back on, what it took out of you.
Yes.
And it's most important to appreciate that whatever you do that's difficult, it's going to take something out of you. When you were telling me how you were fighting your way back through addiction,
Yes.
it takes something out of you.
It does.
It takes much energy
It does.
to swim upstream.
Yeah.
So part of me is, in relief mode because we got this far. And the other part of me is, preparation for the next journey. But I do appreciate the fact that we got together because I've been telling you I need to come down and see you anyway. And we finally did it because you come to see me numerous times.
Yeah.
And so I look forward to, in the future, getting down here. But in closure, we're in a good place now. I'm able to breathe more securely than I have in at least 25 years.
I think ever since you left that other situation and you're in Tennessee.
Yeah.
I see a big difference in your.
Yeah, I'm with good people there.
Yeah.
Fisk University, good people there. Some people, most of the leadership, a lot of leadership is from Howard.
Okay.
It's going to Howard. But having said that, it's a good environment to be able to bring closure to something else that I had to do in seclusion. When I was in Elizabeth City, or at least in that part of North Carolina, I essentially had 4 places to go. I was in the house, as you know. I had the little place to go to get workout at the gym, and then I had a little room in the library. And then I had a desk at my house in the room.
Right.
And I did that for 4 years.
Wow, you did.
Yeah. That's how I finished 20 books.
I've seen it. I saw the workshop. I saw the workshop.
Yes. So I had to get out of that. That was a regiment that obviously at this age you can't do that too long without losing yourself. But no, I'm in a good place. I'm around good people. You're one of the good people I'm around, and I look forward to this period of closure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who else is? I think it's probably prudent to bring out some names or point out some names. You had Akua, right? Who's worked there, helped you out?
Yeah, Akua and Ushaka.
Yeah, Ushaka, crazy ass Ushaka.
Yeah. I wouldn't call him that.
Well, actually, you know what? I better call it. Ushaka, I apologize.
We retract.
Crazy ass Akua. That's more. Crazy ass Akua.
Yeah. These are good people. These are good people. Obviously at the core of what we've done, is
don't forget
we got
Yara. Yara, that's my man Yara. Shout out to you, Yara.
Yara's at the core, and I obviously can't take anything away from all the people I've worked around.
Right.
Ife, great person, did good work. But probably at the top of my list for us being here is T. Isabor.
T. Isabor. I was waiting for you to say it.
She's right there.
Yeah, waiting for you to say it.
There's no one close in that regard because she didn't even know me that well. We spent a few hours talking on the phone sometimes, but the point I'm trying to make is she stepped out of the way to put us in a good place. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her. Now there's Elder Haru, who did great work.
Yes.
Before he passed. I wish you could have met him.
I wish I would have met him.
Yeah, quality guy.
I think I came along right after he passed.
Yeah. We've got some people. We obviously can't name all the names.
Right.
Some of them are helping us quietly, and we want to keep it that way.
Right.
But having said that, we've got I had a solid 6 people on the team.
Same thing with me. With the little nucleus that we have with the Raising Awareness group. Everybody knows about Elder Olatunji Mwamba. And we know about Kufu Akumacha. But there's also a couple people who have been supporting me as well.
Yes.
Especially since I retired. And I want to bring special attention to Kwesi. Mpanza, his wife, Akashua.
Yeah, they have helped us also.
Yeah. I mean, they deserve special mention. And also Kendall Anderson.
Okay, I met him.
Yeah, Kendall. Yeah. We were another secret or another nugget for you guys. The day was supposed to be my naming ceremony.
Yeah.
And that's why all the guys were coming down. And that's one of the reasons why Taka is here.
Yeah.
We're going to have like a little naming ceremony, officially bring my. But this, it is what it is. Maybe in another couple of weeks, we'll get together again, and we'll do, a little get together. And I think Kwesi was putting together, writing something together as an introduction. Formally introducing me to the community with the African name. I'm looking forward to it, but we'll do it sooner or later. I think that's
Kwesi and his family. That's a good family. Good family. I've learned so much from them in their struggle.
Right.
To move forward.
Yeah. Definitely. So I mean, that I think pretty much. I don't know what else we can cover here other than
that's core stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I'll end my part of it by saying I appreciate meeting you.
Okay.
It was a very good experience to meet a person years ago that kept his word. I remember you went out of your way to set up meetings, even discussions that other folk wouldn't even get into around philosophy, scientific questions, all of that. You breached them, even research. You breached them. Most people don't want to talk about that, especially philosophy.
Well, part of that is I know where I can go where I can't go. In other words, I know when I'm above water,
Yeah.
and when I'm below water.
Yes.
So I think I brought it to your attention one time with the art of research.
Yeah.
With the book.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't know what the hell I'm reading.
You did say that.
I said,
You did.
I said,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. That's too heavy for me.
Well, that helped. That helped me because that's when I went back and wrote the other version of it, which was a
Yeah.
short version
Yeah.
of it, a little short quick research
And
question.
that's my go-to book now.
That you helped me to appreciate that I might have been hanging around on the level I shouldn't have been hanging around trying to sell a book to
Well,
somebody.
I mean, people who are a little more advanced
Yeah.
than the normal guy like me would appreciate it.
So you helped me in that regard. But even the morality question, remember we were dealing with those issues. Now we're going to deal with leadership issues,
Right.
which obviously has an element of morality
Right.
and practice to it.
Right.
We're going to deal with that now.
Right.
But it's going to require, as you said, an understanding of art more so than science.
That's right.
And so we're going to try to walk that
Right.
tightrope
Yeah.
and get that done in that regard.
And I think when you're dealing with that, the art and the typical cultural implications of it, we talk about it's not really science. It is scientific to a certain degree, but there is no denying the issues that we are having in the community.
Yeah.
So when I write down A, B, C, D, E, F, and G about all the issues that we have in the community, they could all be number one. They can all be A.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no taking the F and putting there's no levels to this stuff. We all have to address all of these things at one time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that when you are a professional
Yes.
in your particular field, you should be bringing as much of your expertise to that area that you can back to the community to help us elevate ourselves above this piddling existence that we're in. It's just what it is.
Well, what we're doing, and tying to your point, is moving this from an abstract level to an applied level.
Mm-hmm.
See, because I don't think we can talk leadership without practice.
That's right.
Without seeing it in practice.
Mm-hmm.
And so hopefully we can get that across to the young folk and the elders
Right.
that this is not a situation where you can lecture people.
Mm-hmm.
They've got to go out and do it.
They have to go out and do it.
Yeah, it's got to be practiced. And the problem that I've sensed in our community is we talk too much and do too little.
Yeah.
Heroes become people who talk the talk, not the Nat Turners,
Right.
and Harriet Tubman
Right.
who went out there and did it.
Right.
See, heroes are somewhere with a microphone, you see, and we can't have that. We
Right.
got to have people who go out there and get it, and that's what we're trying to build with this next generation.
Let's talk about that for a minute. The so-called commentary and dialogue and discourse that we're having, at some point it does have to become an active path, tract.
Yeah.
The talking has to stop at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you? I mean.
Well, my point has been over the years trying to use this analogy from architecture and what comes out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Our problem has been we talked about the skyscraper.
You did.
And we didn't have people sit down and draw the blueprint
That's right.
for the skyscraper.
That's right.
And then go out and get the material fabricated to specifications to the architectural plan we just drew. We skipped that stage. We started with the talk, we want that skyscraper. The skyscraper is going to look like this. It's going to be this, that, and that.
Right.
And we didn't do the blueprint, and we didn't do the production and fabrication, manufacture of the stuff that we're going to build with to specifications. And then we didn't have the engineers who knew what they were doing to build that building. I mean, the building is tall, 30 stories, 40 stories, 100 stories. It's going to take an engineer, a series of engineers with immense skill to build that building or movement that I'm using. And so what has happened is the difficult work gets skipped, and all you have left is the talker about the thing. And nothing gets built.
Right.
And so you look years down the road, there are no skyscrapers. Nothing built, or should I say?
I mean, even this simple thing of opening up a school. I mean, it's
that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
You're talking about opening up a school. You're taking donations for a school.
Yeah. million.
Yeah,
What I
millions of
heard,
dollars. What I
millions.
understand is in the millions now.
Yeah.
If that's, I don't know what it is, but
Yeah.
we all know what we're talking about. But the thing is that he claims that they got the property. I mean, I mean, at this point, there should have been some children being educated. At this point, somewhere along the line.
I can tell you that
You know?
that fits in line with the analogy I just gave. Talkers and nothing in place for that thing to get built. And people who were given the money did not know the process. You see.
That's right.
See, you'd have to know that, okay, well, you talked about it. Well, where's the blueprint? Okay, or should I say the plan?
The plan.
And let's get the plan to the
Right.
community, which is the plan for the building. Plan for the school. Give it out. Give it. Because you building it,
Right.
you give out a draft. That never got done. Then you move from the plan to the actual fabrication of the materials that are going to go to use to build the building.
Right.
Okay, where's your staff? You know, where's the apparatus for making the building fit for the state? I mean, because let's go through the state in order to get, you know, the proper
Right.
fire and everything else code. Having said that, none of that got done. So the people who are giving the money don't have the sophistication to know that there's an overall process to producing a school system, and a school system,
Right.
and you have to know it.
Right.
And they don't know it, so that's
Right.
how it got there, because it was focused on talk. And this is what I was saying earlier about skipping stages. I was telling someone this about steps. You have to learn steps to things. And if you skip steps, you got to go back and fill them in.
Right.
And we've skipped so many steps, that's why we stay on just talking, because we don't know how things work.
Right.
Most people don't know how things work.
Right.
And so they wouldn't know how a university worked. Because all they would do is go through it. They don't know how it works. So you have to get in there and learn every level of it to see how it will work. Same thing with a school
Right.
or a movement.
Right.
You have to be in movement to know how movement works.
Yeah. How we don't go any. I kind of understand why we don't go further than we do. Is because, like you said, people don't know, the mechanisms or the pathways to getting those things done.
Yeah.
So what they see is a person trying, talking, but they say trying. And the first thing these are the apologists. These are the fan club people who say, well, what are you doing? He's out there, at least he's out there trying. So instead of you tearing the brother down or tearing the sister down, why aren't you out there trying to do something? You're not doing anything. So for those people, I say to you, maybe you should take a look at yourself. You know what I mean? Because it's obvious to me, the evidence is obvious to me that the results are piddling, to say the least. You know what I mean?
Well, they never leave the stage of talking.
Right.
And I can say that we don't need to deflect when somebody says, well, what are you doing?
Right.
We don't deflect from there. We look at the processes that are unfolding and say, okay, you said you want to build a skyscraper or a movement or a school or whatever you're talking about building.
Right.
Okay, you talked about it. Well, it's been 15 years and you're still talking about it. Okay, so where are the processes that lend itself to a blueprint or a series of blueprints? And where are the processes that lend themselves to the fabrication of the materials that's going to be assembled to specifications? I mean, the whole movement or whatever the team you got to put together, whatever it takes in that area. And then where is the series of engineers who are going to assemble this fabricated material or the movement? Where are they? Have they been trained? You know, it's like an army. You say you got an army. You have got to have an officers corps. Officers corps to design how you're going to train that army to carry out the strategy that you put in place. You have to study everything in that same way.
That's right.
And we haven't done that.
Right.
So we talk about an army and we just talk about it with a microphone.
Right.
And that's where we end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hope we learn as we go. We don't have time. I don't think we have all our time left.
Yeah.
Because a couple of things are going to happen first. We're going to lose the economy,
Yeah. That's
and
the first thing.
then when we lose the economy, things are going to go to hell.
Yeah, well, that's why we wrote Bach Square. We took our time and wrote that. Anybody who sees how we wrote that would see we started it just like you have a conception process in a female, a woman. the sperm hits the egg and it goes through a process over 9 months of a child being born. Well, that's the same thing with a society. You know, you plant something somewhere. If it's already something there, you wipe it out, which the whites did.
Right.
It came over here in the Western Hemisphere. They saw these Chechenians, call them Indians, whatever you want to call them, and they killed them. And herded the rest of them onto reservations and began that process of whiting them out, meaning, you know, selling liquor, alcohol, and then mixing with them.
And mix with them, yeah.
Now, so you see an Indian, they look like a white person.
Right, exactly.
So they worked that. Then they planted their system. Coming to see, they were coming out of feudalism, so they regressed back into slavery. They were using indentured servants who were white first, and then they saw, damn, there's some blacks over there. We can get them.
Yeah.
And the blacks, many of them who helped these whites, were, you can get that tribe, you can get them, we'll get them for you.
Right.
And so these whites built their civilization in the Western Hemisphere on the backs of black people. Let's just go and say that openly.
One thing that has to be pointed out, though, is that we had another group of people who did that exploitation for a couple thousand years, or at least 1,000 years, the Arabs.
Oh yeah, well, they set the model.
So the European learned the lesson very well.
They learned that the Arabs set the model, and they won with that. They came from nothing. You go and look at their history, a bunch of desert nomads. Let's be honest, that's all they were. But force is important. They saw openings with the Roman Empire collapsing, and they had the force of will and the force of weaponry to win those regions. And they took those regions, and then obviously at the core of their enslavement was us.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously they enslaved whites too, they did.
Right.
And some Asians.
Sure.
But in the final analysis, we were the core. And having said that, you're right, the whites learned that from them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in learning that from them, they took it to a whole new level. They didn't only regionally enslave people. They enslaved the whole Western Hemisphere.
Yep.
Yeah, and built it with Africa as its engine.
Yep.
You know, so that's why we did Box Square, to explain that process, to show you how we got here and how it's closing time now. It's closing time. And most black folks think they can get in there and start getting something out of it, but you can't get in a system when it's closing time. Go back and study feudalism. You don't get into feudalism and try to build something under feudalism when capitalism is coming out of that. You see, you got to see what's coming out of it. So what's coming out of capitalism? Those are the questions you got to really study.
Right. And I told you when the early times of when we first met.
Yes.
That and you know, me being introduced to your early catalog.
Yes.
With you and Yara and Ife, was that to me, Bob 2 was your most important work.
It was.
And I still think to a certain degree it is.
Yeah.
Although, you know, we do know auto research is important and African Times is important as well. But I think that and I want to couch this with, you know, well, it's not even a disclaimer, it's just a fact that as African American, actually the whole diaspora, but particularly for African Americans, Africans on the American continent, North and South, Bob 2 is important. Bob 2 has to be a required read.
Yes.
For you to understand the system that you're in, where it came from, how the whites did what they did, and what we need to do to get out of that.
That's right. And where it's at now.
Where it's at right now. That should be required really for all Africans on North American continent.
That's right. Excellent point. Yeah. And I agree with you. The only caveat I will put in there is for our own internal self-correction, we always argue that Ma'at is the most important book.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it's internal cleaning yourself up.
Okay.
You see, you know, when you
I'll go with that.
Yeah, when you're in a fight with someone, it is not what they bring, it is what you bring to win.
Right.
You see, you can't even get a tie out of it if you don't bring anything.
Right.
So if you show up not knowing your enemy, you're going to lose that every time.
I agree.
You know, so what has happened is we have not been prepared internally.
Right.
Just like we started off with your name change.
Yeah.
How important it was for you to find a way to get that done.
Yeah.
Internally for yourself, spiritually.
Exactly.
And most of us don't take advantage of the internal strength that we would have that puts us in place for victory. And so that's why we continue.
I think the mental health and the spiritual health, and then of course, obviously, into the community health is something I kind of take for granted sometimes. That's why when you brought my eye into the discourse,
yes,
I had to agree with you. You're absolutely correct. You have to have that there as the base, as the foundation.
That's why we.
But after you do that, or as you continue to do that,
yes,
you need to understand what this monster is that we've been dealing with for generations and generations.
And we have not done that.
We have not addressed that monster.
That's right.
And we have a lot of monsters that we got to deal with.
Yeah, but this is the core one because we're in it.
Yeah,
you see, whenever you're in a monster, you're in it.
Yeah,
and whatever happens is almost like when we're talking about catching the difference between catching the flu and COVID. COVID will kill you.
It will.
It'll kill you.
Yeah.
And so again, if certain things are not in place, you dead.
Yeah.
A flu might, kill a few people, but mainly it's going to go away.
Right.
But the COVID will kill you.
Right.
So we're talking about a social system at a point, or economic system, social system at a point where it's having a crisis of being, meaning whether or not it can stay in existence. And whenever a system is in that, like feudalism was, you're going to have this regression period where Nazis are everywhere, killing people just because they're black. Showing up at a grocery store where old people are trying to get some grocery on,
or young children.
Because they know the children can't.
The most vulnerable,
the
most vulnerable people that you can get to,
and just gun them down.
Yeah,
just gun them.
And that's
down.
when you know they're cowards.
But they're actually strategically going at things that they know they can win at, and so whenever that moves out, it's going to move out.
Right.
You'll see them going in communities that they know they can win at.
Just to kind of close things out, I think we are reactionary to everything. I think as long as as long as we existed. At least over here on this part of the diaspora, in North and South America, not so much South America, but here, I talk about what I talk about, United States.
Yeah.
We react when things are at its worst.
Yeah.
So even when COVID-19 came along, people said, look, man, educate yourself on this stuff. You know what I mean? Understand what you're dealing with. Just don't listen to what people say on social media and stuff like that, and take some D19 pills or some B10 pills and stuff like that. Some prune juice and think that that's going to save you, because that's not. We have people that fell into that.
Yeah.
This reactionary stuff, and then by the time we react to the so-called militias and the guys who are being trained and groomed right now, millions of them being trained. Now how are we going to react? You're going to be not only that, you're not going to be ready. Yeah. You're not going to be equipped.
Yes.
You're not going to be mentally prepared. And you're not even going to have the hardware, to even do that. Yeah. And then taking all those things together and then organizing that, which is what they're doing. Yeah. So we react. We react to. We're reactionary people.
We wait until they're on the doorstep. They're right on the doorstep, and then you want to start preparing. I speak to it all the time. Someone asks me about, this system of ideas. You thought about it years ago. Well, why did you do it? Well, you can't wait until somebody's at your door getting ready to blow you to pieces to start preparing.
You can't.
You can't. And I did a post today about the rain. Mm-hmm. What good is the rain if you haven't planted your seeds? Why would you wait until it starts raining to go out there and try to plant some seeds?
Yeah, that's right.
The seeds should be planted in preparation for the rains.
Right.
And when the rains come, they're gonna, give them their life. And once the life is given, you have something as a basis for a harvest. But if you have not planted your seeds, you're not going to get a harvest out of that rain.
We better plant it in some good soil.
This is the point. And the rains are the system coming to an end. That's an analogy. That's the rains. But if you don't have anything in place,
you're talking about okay.
Yeah, you're going to end up with a counter-revolution.
I got you.
The counter-revolution is these Nazis, who stormed the White House January 6th. And they're just talking about how well prepared it was. Right. I mean, if anybody's been watching the news, you can just see how well prepared these Nazis are. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's coming out what they were going to intend to do.
Right.
And so obviously you would have to follow that with fascism, an open fascist system, because if they won that, it would be an open fascist system that they would impose.
A couple of things didn't happen that didn't allow them to be successful, and that a lot of that had to do with the vice president too. him not.
Well, he stumbled around that.
He stumbled,
but,
yeah, but
he stumbled and got it right.
He got it right, but
yeah.
if he would have did what Trump wanted him to do,
Yeah.
we would have some. He would have some. Real
We would
issues.
be in a Nazi
Yeah.
state, a
We would have some-
fascist, open fascist state.
Imagine
right
that
now.
one individual.
One individual. He could
How
have
lucky we've gotten on that.
Well-
Well, we as a nation, not
Yeah.
as black people.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about black people,
Yeah.
just as a nation.
Yeah,
But
he
how
could-
lucky we've been, just that
Yeah.
one person
He could.
decided to buck the trend.
Yeah, he could have done it though.
Yeah, he
And,
did, but he didn't
We
do
would have
it.
had an open path.
How long are we going to keep trying to be lucky?
Yeah.
You know what I mean, on stuff. So we just got to take the ball and run with it.
We're doing that.
Okay.
Yes,
All right.
we're doing that, and not to talk about plans. You just do what you have to do and
Right,
get it done.
right.
Close the deal.
All right, my brother. It's been a pleasure, and I wanted to thank the community for number one, being patient with me and supporting me, and also obviously supporting my brother here.
Yeah, thank you, and
Brother
thank you
Jakar,
again.
my
Yeah,
Kilimanjaro.
yes, sir.
All right, my man. Good one. Love you, man.
Yeah, same
All right.
here.
All right. Later.
Yeah.